What's going on? You know who it is. You know what it is. All right, you guys, peep game. I felt the need to talk about this because I wanted to share some information with you guys. And some of y'all probably don't remember this, especially if you're under the age of like 46 or 47. So keep in mind, remember, I'm 51 going on 52. So with that being said, I just wanted to share something with you guys, and you can research this because I know my audience is from anywhere from 25 to 65, which that's a good demographic, which means I'm reaching everybody, and I like that. But I wanted to share some information for, the younger generation, because I know eventually you may be called to do debates and have discussions on other media outlets and other panels, but I want to provide some information. At the end of the day, we know it's easy to tear down the black man and in particularly the black father. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're around, people have a problem with it. If you're not around, people have a problem with it. If you around and you do too much, people have a problem with it. If you're around and you do too little, people have a problem with it. If you're, if you do things for your kid, oh, you're spoiling him. If you don't, you're depriving him. I mean, it's just like damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I've seen quite a few Michael Jackson movies, and I've seen enough of these Michael Jackson movies and television shows and documentaries and et cetera, et cetera. And I just, to a certain degree, I don't like how Joe Jackson is always being demonized you know, on these Michael Jackson television series and mini series and films and stuff. You know, I mean, they had to be something good about Joe because, after all, Catherine had 9 children with him, and she never left, and she could have left, you know. So she stayed with him for a while. With that being said, there was something she liked about him, you know. But here's the thing: was Joe Jackson probably uh was Joe Jackson a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm gonna say this much. He pushed his children to the limit. Was he a little too controlling? Probably so. But you have to take the good with the bad. If it wasn't for Joe's work ethic and him pushing his kids, pushing him to be the best, pushing them to give 100%, we wouldn't have got the Jacksons. Or should I say the Jackson 5, then the Jacksons, then Michael Jackson. So there was some good to Joe. Because keep in mind, yeah, he yeah, he may have done too much. He may have been a little too pushy as a father, but once again, he helped Michael Jackson become a perfectionist. And then Michael Jackson went on to give us 100% in the studio, 100% on the stage, and gave 100% whenever he put out a video. Michael Jackson was the one that was very innovative in his creative ideas. Michael Jackson was the one that led to videos becoming like mini movies and all that stuff. He was the one that was doing that kind of stuff. So that was started by Michael Jackson, pretty much. There were some other people, but Michael Jackson was the guy that took it to the next level, the mini films and all that kind of stuff. So that came from Joe. So we have to give Joe some kind of props. Was he the perfect father? Absolutely fucking not. But was he the worst? No. Like I said, you have to take the good and the bad. And let's just talk about this whole thing with, getting whooped with a belt and all that kind of stuff. Listen, in my household, that was just routine. I grew up in that era, the corporal punishment thing. I think to a certain degree, that's what's missing in some of these households and stuff. Because now you look at how some of these men conduct themselves now, shit. These dudes are way too overly emotional, and you just see it. And you have to understand, it's been when I say it's been an intentional effort to destroy the black family structure and to divide the black man and the black woman and basically put them up against each other. So that's been did intentionally. We have been intentionally targeted. And that's why you look and see how the black family structure is and how divided and torn and broken some of these black family households is. And we could try to pretend that that isn't going on, but it is. Now, I'll save that for another day. But I know people gonna say, "Are you defending Joe Jackson?" Well, to a certain extent, I am, because I need to talk about another father that people have seen to have forgot about, that they have swept under the rug. Now, some of y'all may remember this. Now, keep in mind that media was only controlled by one. They only had one form of media back then, so they had control over. They had complete control over what was being presented to the common folk, to what was being presented to people. So it was easy to a certain degree to push narratives, where now it's a little bit difficult to control the masses, because they have so many different forms of media. But I want to talk about Kit Culkin. In case you guys don't know who he is Macaulay Culkin's father. Say what you want to say about Joe Jackson. I never heard any people, I didn't hear about any companies. I didn't hear about really Epic Records complaining about, doing business with Joe Jackson. But I can tell you one dude they constantly complained about, and you heard things about. And I wanted y'all to do research. Kit Culkin is Macaulay Culkin's dad, and Macaulay Culkin hasn't spoken to Kit Culkin in over 30 years. We all know who Macaulay Culkin is. He is from Home Alone. I first saw him in this movie with John Candy, rest in peace, John Candy, called Uncle Buck. But Macaulay Culkin landed the leading role in Home Alone, and he just blew up. Home Alone was a smash hit. It was a smash hit unexpectedly, and it led to Home Alone 2 and then Home Alone 3, which he wasn't in. But Macaulay Culkin, at the age of 10, 11, his career, he had a great run up until he started to become a teenager. And the thing is, it got to the point with him, he almost got basically blackballed out of Hollywood, period. His career took a big hit because of his father, because his father was very difficult to work with, Kit Culkin. Basically, it got to the point to where companies didn't even want to deal with him. They didn't even want to give Macaulay Culkin projects because Kit Culkin was just too difficult to work with. It wasn't Macaulay Culkin himself, but it was him. And you heard all these reports about him. And it just got to the point to where Macaulay Culkin basically had to, he basically took his parents to court, and he got control of his finances through a lawyer. Now, it's anybody's guess how much Macaulay Culkin is worth, or how much he was worth at the time. You hear reports anywhere from, which is a wide margin, anywhere from 17 to like $50 million. But his career, in the mid 90s started to dwindle because of his father. And it got to the point to where Macaulay Culkin just said enough is enough. And Macaulay Culkin hasn't talked to his father, Kit, in 30 years. He used to manage him and his brother. And, it was just that bad, but people don't want to talk about that. And I like to bring these particular subjects up because, like I said, it's just, you see just too many of these projects where they just demonize Joe. And once again, Joe isn't here to defend himself. So I feel like somebody got to say something because I feel like that isn't fair. But yeah, I just wanted you to understand that as far as children cutting ties with their parents when their parents are their managers or whatever the case may be, that's routine. That it didn't just happen with the Jacksons. It happened with quite a few celebrities and stuff. But the way that they do Joe, I just, it just rubs me the wrong way. It just rubs me the wrong way because you just see too much of this on TV. How black men and black fathers are portrayed in television and film, and then in real life. Because a lot of times when you talk to the mother, she ain't telling the whole side of the story. So I feel like I needed to put this out there. If you think I'm joking, you can do the research yourself. At 15, Macaulay Culkin, basically took control of his own money. Now there was a rumor that he divorced his parents or he had himself emancipated. He said he technically didn't have that did. He just basically took control of his own money through a lawyer. And there was accusations. He said his father was mentally and physically abusive to him. Now, before you say, well, Joe is different from, no, how? Joe Jackson never put out a record. Joe Jackson never appeared in any movies. You just heard this stuff about him. So I'm just keeping it a buck. And I'm just calling a circle, and a square, and a triangle. So I just wanted to give you guys, another perspective of this. So appreciate you guys listening. This your boy Town Biz. I'm out.